Welcome, or welcome back, to my Ultimate Iron Man series, where I am playing an extreme chunk account while being able to walk outside the chunk borders as a Tileman. This is part 2. In my previous episode I put all my various progression bits and pieces into the video in the same sequence as they happened, so it ended up being quite a bit more chaotic than I wanted it to be. And it was probably relatively difficult to keep track of any meaningful progress I was making. This episode, I'm going to try and give it a bit more structure and focus. So if you see my inventory and stats go back and forth a bit, that's why. It's still roughly in chronological order. Also, before we hop back into the grind, let me real quick talk about the looting bag. As an Ultimate Iron Man, I cannot use a bank, and thus storage space is extremely valuable in my inventory or otherwise. A looting bag would allow me to store up to 28 additional items, literally doubling my inventory space. However, I will not be getting this item anytime soon. And here's why. When rolling chunks, I do not want to go into the wilderness. And I think the looting bag is part of the wilderness. Having to deal with other players trying to kill me and take my stuff as a UIM is just not something I want to deal with anytime soon. So this is my equivalent exchange. I cannot get the wilderness in my chunk rolls, but I will also not have access to a looting bag. And that's all the preamble done, let's get to the video. First of all, let's cross off all the random little small stuff I've already completed in my chunk tasks. I have over 20 attack to wield a mithril weapon. And I have chopped and burned some oak logs in Lumbridge. Next, the tasks I'll be focusing on are going to be woodcutting and fletching and all that entails, as well as farming for herb lore in the future. After getting my Rune axe for more efficient woodcutting, my next goal was going to be the Rune felling axe upgrade. According to the wiki, this would provide a roughly 10% experience increase, and thus would massively speed up the 99 woodcutting grind. But first, I needed to get enough anima-infused bark, the forestry currency, to be able to afford it. The felling axe handle costs 10,000 anima bark and 500 oak logs. So I got to chopping away. Instead of going to forestry worlds and the known locations for forestry, I decided to stay in Lumbridge and get my own random events. I did this mainly because I still needed to get level 70 to fletching for my chunk requirement, and I wanted to accumulate money by selling the unstrung longbows to a shop. And in the long run, I gathered almost all of my anima bark in Lumbridge. Not just for the Rune felling axe, but for all of them. Cutting down the same willow tree for hours, fletching willow longbows while walking to the general store, sell them to the shopkeeper and repeat. In case you're wondering, the wiki does not list the forestry event under Minigames, so according to my rules, I am actually allowed to participate in any regular forestry as well, if I wanted to. And during that grind, I even got a petal garland. This is a 1 in 50 chance per Dryad event to get this item. It is purely cosmetic, but as long as I don't have another necklace, I may as well wear some pretty flowers around my neck. And a few hours later, I had gathered over 8,000 anima bark and started making my way over to the friendly forester in Draenor. Since both the oak and willow trees are very close to this friendly forester, depositing them was going to be nice and efficient. So I need, let me check real quick, log storage, check. I need 800 oak logs total for all the items I want. I need 800 willow logs total, so that's going to be what I will be doing. And so after 800 oak logs, I moved over to the willow trees. Oh. I started knocking down the willow trees, and apparently that's a medium task? I actually didn't realize. Indeed. Also, I'm pretty sure I just woke up in that clip because, of course, I had to finish depositing the oak logs before going to bed. I have horrible sleeping habits. Oh, there we go. This event actually got me over 10,000 anima bark, which means I can now get the felling axe handle as soon as I have all the logs, which I should have together soon as well. And just about 10 minutes later. Alrighty, and with this log, I have all the logs stored here that I need. So, let me just double check. 800 oak logs, 800 willow logs, that's all I need. Let's see. I will want to get the felling axe handle. This will allow me to turn my rune axe into a rune felling axe. I will still need 40 attack in order to be able to wield it eventually, so I save 1 inventory space. But I will also want to, as I mentioned before, start getting foresters rations. Now, here's a thing. Let me just buy it. There it is. Here's a thing. I need to... Oh. I need 41 smithing. Oh no. Oh. That is not what I was trying to talk about. I was gonna say that I need an anvil. And I was not sure whether this rusty anvil here would be sufficient. And now you understand why I titled this chapter The Rune Felling Axe Odyssey. I got completely blindsided by the level 41 smithing requirement. I guess what I could do is I could follow in the footsteps of Settled and walk down here to the Shanty Pass and buy bronze bars and then use them on the anvil. Then just run back and forth. Let's briefly examine the ways to train smithing. Quests like the Knight's Sword would be great, but I can only do quests that start within my chunk borders. So that's out. Giant's Foundry is a minigame which, well, minigames are also not allowed outside of my chunk borders. Mining ore and then bringing it to the furnace is probably the most classic way of training smithing. But due to my rules, using mining to train smithing would be too many steps removed from my chunk task. Buying ore from shops and then smelting it into bars sounds like a decent idea, but the only ore shop I have access to currently is the one in the Tsar area, and because GP to Tokul currency conversion is extremely pricey, as well as there only being a furnace but no anvil around, I didn't pursue that idea any further. And this kind of leaves us with buying bronze bars from shops directly. My thoughts immediately went to the bronze bars from the Shanty Pass shop, since it stocks 10 at a time, because I watched Settle's Tilemans series. This is quite a long walk, all the way from the shop to the anvil in Lumbridge and back. I was hoping that level 41 smithing wouldn't take too long, and I also had quite a few tiles unlocked towards Shanty Pass already, so I didn't really look into other options for training. Alrighty, here he sells bronze bar for 8 coins each. I will also need a hammer. So I think what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just going to buy bronze bars, teleport back as long as it is off cooldown, which it is not, otherwise I'm just gonna run or, well, walk back really. And hop worlds, buy more bronze bars and just start smithing. After that I was faced with the harsh reality that getting 10 bronze bars in one world was actually very unusual. Pretty much every other world I hopped to at that point had like 1, maybe 2 bronze bars stocked, and well, I just needed a full inventory anyways. Oh god. This is going to be a long grind. Alright, I guess we're gonna make I don't know, which one is better, dagger or bronze axe? So it turns out, it basically does not matter what I'm going to be smithing, I'm going to get the same amount of experience per bronze bar anyways. So in the end I decided that it would probably make the most sense to have bronze knives, because I will be able to use those to get a bunch of ranging experience later on. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm gonna be running back and forth with half an inventory free of stuff. I mean, eventually I'll reach level 40 smithing. Yeah, I would not do this, by the way. I would just drop this if I didn't think that this would save a massive amount of time to level 99 woodcutting. Basically, that's kind of my internal justification. I can go out of my way to do stuff that is not specifically in the chunk by Tileman mode, as long as it effectively genuinely saves a ton of time. That's the plan anyways. Alright, see you eventually. Bye-bye. So it turns out this is about 2,400-ish smithing experience per hour, which means this is going to take just about 17-18 hours total. This is not a grind. I was really looking forward to just doing a bit of fishing because it's kind of comfy. Unlock the tiles towards getting a fishing rod and oh my goodness, keep messing up. Also, in case you're curious, I'm just not disabling the region locker this run. Actually, little peek behind the scenes. Here, I always normally I automark tiles as soon as I'm out of the area, but of course inside the chunk I don't need to mark any tiles, so this is just kind of how I do it. There's unfortunately no automatic solution to chunk tilemen. I wish there was, because I have numerous times run back into this area now and just left a bunch of tiles that I had to remove one by one because, you know, inside this region here there's not supposed to be unlockable tiles. They are already unlocked. But yeah, it's going to take a while. Also, I drop one bronze bar here, pick up a hammer, because this technically saves me one trip every 20 trips, if you put it that way. Alrighty, so I was contemplating, is it actually faster for me to go with what is basically full inventory of 20 bronze bars, then drop one bronze bar, buy a hammer, go and smith one of the bronze bars, go and pick up the bronze bar I just dropped, and then go back to smithing, which I would wager takes about an additional, let's say 6 seconds. That's like 10 game ticks. Actually, it's probably way more than 6 seconds, really. As opposed to just always having a hammer in my inventory. Because always on my hammer in my inventory, like, it feels like every 20 trips I would save an entire trip. But how long does an entire trip take? Well, I mean, I just filled up my inventory, so I guess I'm gonna see. And I will also be able to time out my hammer acquisition prowess, I guess. I then recorded an entire round trip of full bronze bars, as well as timed out on how long it takes me to drop a bronze bar, buy a hammer, etc. and figured out the numbers. Alrighty, here's the data. In short, I spent a grand total of 21 seconds additionally to grab that additional bronze bar, dropping it, buying a hammer every time, picking it up again after I stopped smithing briefly, and after 19 trips this adds up to roughly 399 seconds spent to bring an additional bronze bar each trip. 19 trips because that is when I would save one additional trip by having that one additional bronze bar in my inventory. And considering that the entire round trip is less than 300 seconds, less than 5 minutes, that is including the 21 seconds spent, this is not worth it, not even close. So in conclusion, just keeping a hammer in my inventory is not only more convenient, but faster. So I was just thinking, I can get another rune axe anytime I want. I think I should just sell this one and get another one back later, freeing one more inventory space. And I should probably just use up my runes for combat training as well. So I think that's what I will be doing before I continue the smithing thing, because I think that's gonna save me like an hour or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and another mithril scimitar. Basically, there's no real reason not to. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'll see you over there. Alrighty, and we're basically here. So let's just go to like the corner of this tree and see where we walk next. So sand crabs, if you're not aware, have very low defense but a ton of HP. And them having a lot of HP is very useful, because this effectively enables me to deal more damage, and basically the more HP damage I do, the more experience I get. And these are the little sand crabs. I actually just realized I didn't bring my defensive equipment. I didn't just forget to bring armor, because even though they don't have much offense, they do still occasionally hit, and with my low defensive stats right now, it would be beneficial to have proper equipment. I also forgot that I would need to manually cast all my spells, because in RuneScape, unless you have a staff equipped with specifically an autocast option, you cannot automatically cast the spells. You have to click for each one. Just reached level 13 magic, which means my wind strike now has a maximum hit of 8, and that's going to be as good as it gets. Which, by the way, is dramatically better compared to what it used to be just literally like 3 days ago, because they updated that these spells get extra hits. Either way, I'm going to bed now. I will most likely go ahead and teleport back home as soon as it is off cooldown, defeat a bunch of dark wizards so I can autocast with the staff, so I don't have to actually, you know, keep hitting manually every time. Alright, I'll be doing that, and until later. Oh, good morning. Just 2 kills and I got my staff that I was looking for. With this, I will be able to autocast my spells. Very nice. I can also do defensive casting, which is this exact same damage for spells anyways. But I get defense experience as well, which might be the way to go here. And I am actually going to use defensive casting, and the reason is these sand crabs actually are beating me up. I'm losing health. So normally what you want to do is you want to just stand in one spot and AFK auto retaliate. But I can't do that, because if I aggro more than 1 sand crab at a time currently, I'm gonna get murdered by them. So I need higher defense level, so I'm just using defensive casting. Plus, because I'm a Tileman, I will be able to get runes reasonably easily. Like, they're not the most easy, I guess. But yeah, level 19 magic, and we're getting higher up on defense too now. Along the way to the sand crabs, I also realized it probably would make sense for me to start planting and getting some more farming experience, so I eventually will be able to get rid of the seeds in my inventories as well and make up more inventory space that way. So I bought a bunch of potato seeds and onion seeds and wanted to plant them in the Hosidius patch that I unlocked along the way to the sand crabs and the woodcutting guild. Also, can I just say that my crops got diseased so ridiculously much. Like, unless you specifically go out of your way to get super compost, it is absurd on how much disease your crops are going to get. bit of a scuffed setup here, but with these few last casts here, I'm going to have used up all of the air runes and mind runes that I have accumulated so far. I have gotten almost up to level 33, so up to 35 is not going to take too much longer. And that's that. I'm actually going to stick around here for a little while and switch over to melee instead, where I'm going to be training up my attack to level 40. That way I will finally be able to equip the rune axe as well. And, well, until later. Alrighty, and with this, we have reached level 40 attack. This means I will be able to equip rune weaponry that includes a rune axe and a rune felling axe once we get to that point. Which means that's all the combat training I'm going to do for now. Alright, after cleaning up, I now have 23 inventory spaces as opposed to, what was it before? Like 16, so this is going to be more efficient than before. And at this point, it was just running back and forth, hopping a few worlds to buy a full inventory of bronze bars, running back to Smith and repeat. And it was kind of starting to sink in as to how long this is actually going to take. Because, well, it was an unexpected grind to have, but it's not like I'd want to drop the felling axe handle just after I got it. And this is also kind of where I started figuring out, wait a second, can I improve this grind one way or another? If you are thinking about, hey, there's a bronze bar shop in Karamja that is right next to an anvil. Yeah, no, I actually didn't figure this one out until I'm doing the voiceover here, so unfortunately that is not going to be part of the deal, but that would have been way more efficient in hindsight. No, I was trying to figure out, alrighty, so one of the unique things about the forestry is if you have forester's rations in your backpack or in your inventory and you cut down a tree, as long as you are below 90 run energy, you have a 30% chance to consume a forester's ration and restore 20% run energy. So I was kind of theorizing, there's a very conveniently placed oak tree right next to the Alcarid gate. Maybe if I had forester's rations, I would be able to restore my run energy and make the trips a little bit more efficient. So this is kind of where I got to try and figure out how can I even make forester's rations. The way you create forester's rations is as follows. You automatically collect leaves in your forester's backpack while cutting down trees. These are then combined with any meat or fish to create forester's rations. How many rations you create is simple multiplication. The higher quality the leaves are, the better of a base number they provide, and meat or fish, depending on the cooking level required, provide certain multipliers. I mostly had willow leaves because that's most of my time spent woodcutting, and I had no food whatsoever, so time to change that and simultaneously knock out my fishing level requirement for the chunk. Alrighty, let me just briefly commentate over this clip and kind of the quality of gameplay my past self has provided. So first of all, I started in Lumbridge, tried to bait fish there. Turns out I need at least level 25 fishing in order to start bait fishing there. Which, you know, the map doesn't tell you, it's an understandable mistake to make. Then the next thing is I just head over to Draenor and go to the fishing spot there. And realize, wait a second, I have a tinderbox, but I don't have an axe to cut down a log in order to make a fire to then cook the fish. Speaking of cooking, what level cooking do I even need? I am level 1 cooking, I didn't even think about that. And it just continues there. And eventually I decide, you know what, I will want to make a rune felling axe anyway, so I'm just gonna head over and buy myself a rune axe. And then eventually get to cooking and fishing, I guess. I don't know what else to say, it's just these clips are a disaster. It's also why it takes me so long to edit anything, jeez. My past self is, well, bumbling around just like I do, I suppose. Level 4 cooking. And What I can do now is use these leaves on the sardines. No, I cannot. How many more things am I going to find out that I can't do before I actually, you know, get to the plan? Oh god. It's leaks all over again. So when I started playing leaks, there were so many little things I had no idea had a requirement because I already had met the requirement by the time I tried them out in the regular game. And this is just kind of that all over again, where I'm just running into all of these skilling walls head first, bloody nose. It's great. So, and finally we have reached level 25 fishing. Any moment now. Please? There it is. Alrighty, and now we can go and fish for pikes. Hooray! So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Did you know that you cannot interrupt the fishing animation by using the home teleport cast? I just learned that. And not even 20 minutes later, I decided bait fishing is so ridiculously slow. So I went back to Portsarim and bought myself a fly fishing rod as well as some feathers, just so the fishing part would go by a bit faster. You know, it's probably not even going to be much faster realistically, but I'd like to just do something about this. Considering this is not even what I was going for in the end. Where I wanted to go and just briefly test whether Forest's rations actually could have a niche use in this one particular scenario. I was kind of excited about these. Like, I love little niche things that don't do anything, so to speak. Also, don't worry about the tiles that I randomly unlock because I'm a dingus. That's just... yeah, that's normal. Alrighty, back to fishing. This time with feathers and the fly fishing rod. I'm curious whether that's actually gonna be any better. Well, it certainly feels a lot faster than bait fishing. That's so bizarre. When I originally started playing old school RuneScape, I was actually really confused as to how do you even use a fly fishing rod, because it did not occur to me that you just right click and select the second option by default rather than lure, and RuneLite didn't switch it over to the correct rod. So honestly, now that I've played this game for so long, it's just kind of ingrained into me that I just right click things in order to see what kind of options there are, because after all, it is a point and click game. But when initially starting to play this game, that was just so unintuitive. Either way, enough rambling. Back to 35 cooking eventually. And 29 fishing. A little bit later, I reached level 30 fishing and was going to be able to catch salmon. And this is also when my rules for the Chunk plus Tileman account actually finally started to completely solidify. Apparently, catching a raw salmon is a medium task in the Lumbridge and Draenor area. Which reminds me, I actually need to double check whether there's some diary tasks I can actually do. Cast a teleport to Lumbridge spell. Craft a coif in the Lumbridge cup. And you know there's a part that is actually accessible, and it is accessible to me. I probably can train crafting. Outside. Basically, I'm only doing stuff that I can do within the chunk. If it's within the chunk, I'm willing to give it a shot. I guess I will probably not do stuff that are from quests that don't start within the chunk, because I consider them to be locked, with the one minor exception of herb lore, but that's literally just to have more things to do and more grinds to do before I get out of here. Craft, string, and enchant an amulet of power in Lumbridge. Oh. Okay. If I include diary tasks, where I need to basically train skills that I could not otherwise train if I was only a Junkman, then I need to make an amulet of power. Can I train crafting? It's not normally a chunk task, I know that. But also normally I cannot train fishing. Oh god, I have to get 70 crafting. How do you even do that as an ultimate Iron Man? Well, that's something for later me to figure out. For now it is back to fishing and cooking. And there we finally are. 35 cooking. We can now make Forest's rations. You get occasionally random leaves like maple and yews from random events, so it's not just from the cutting down trees, but it is largely from that, so that's why I have so many willow trees. And then, depending on which level food you use, you actually can combine these in order to make, well, Forest's rations. So this also grants me a bit of cooking experience, which is going to be a little bit helpful. So I'm just gonna make a few, and then I'm probably going to go back and check out whether it works out for the smithing grind that I'm going to do. Alrighty, I used up all the feathers, and we end up with almost 600 rations total. So let's see, how many is it actually? 578 Forest's rations. Each one of these is going to provide me with some run energy, at least that's the theory. Alrighty, moment of truth. Did the Forest's ration come in handy? Because I'm now doing the bronze runs. There's an oak tree. Let's see if I get my run energy back. There's already the first one, second one. That seems to work. I wonder if I have a knife in my inventory, does the Shanty Pass shop count as a general store where I could sell my longbows to? Nice. That's pretty efficient. Either way, honestly, this might just be fine, because if nothing else, I get woodcutting experience along the way. And maybe if I can sell the unfinished longbows, I even get a little bit of profit out of it. Nope, I cannot sell oak stuff or anything to this shop, so I guess I'm just gonna drop those along the way. So it turns out, me knocking down the oak tree and getting so much run energy restored this quickly was actually kind of a fluke. Most of the time it takes much longer to restore my run energy. Alrighty, so my verdict is, unfortunately, this is way too unreliable to restore run energy efficiently and quickly enough for it to actually save time. Like, occasionally it would work, and it just gives me all the run energy I need, but especially when I have to drop the bronze part on the way back and then come back here, it just doesn't really end up working out, I would say. So, this was a neat idea, but I don't think this is a use case for being able to use wood cutting forestry in order to restore run energy. But also, I need to create more foresters rations in that case, which would also cost me more overall time in the long run, because I would have to get some food and then make the rations, etc. So I'm just not going to worry about using forestry in order to restore run energy. Was definitely a neat idea though. A neat idea, but mostly useless. That kind of describes most of the things I do. And then it was back to buying bronze bars and smithing them into bronze knives. At this stage I reached roughly level 32 smithing and over 6000 bronze knife created at that point. And if you know RuneScape, level 41 smithing is actually more than twice the amount of smithing experience I had gained at this stage, so I wasn't even halfway through yet. Meanwhile, in the background I've been kind of farming, so let's take a look at that real quick. First, I spent some tiles to gain access to the farming patch south of Falador. At some point, I will probably want to unlock all possible herb farming spots, so investing tiles to speed up the farming levels right now felt like it made sense. The highest level seeds I could buy from the farmer's store is cabbage seeds, so I started planting them. And then occasionally, while grinding out smithing, I walked over to that farming patch and the one in Hosidius to harvest and plant some more. I eventually also started buying pineapples from the charter ship to make super compost, so my crops wouldn't get diseased all the time. Well, let's put it this way, cabbages really don't like to grow without getting diseased or dying. I planted in those 4 patches. I have used 8 plant cures. I have harvested 1 set of cabbages in the last 4 plantings. And I'm so close to level 15 farming, I can just literally rake the rest of my way there, which is exactly what I'll be doing. I also bought a bunch of pineapples from the charter ships, which I actually forgot to record that. Over here, it's just kind of a charter ship crew member reasonably close to the pass, so I went to grab those. And this is going to make super compost, which should dramatically reduce the chance of my tree getting diseased, which is going to be the main purpose of this. Did you know that you can double harvest? If you click on the cabbage and then keep spam clicking until your dude shovels the first one, you always get 2 cabbages. Also level 13 farming, just 2 more levels. It felt like it took ages to reach level 15 farming, with more than half of my cabbages being dead or diseased whenever I checked on them. But looking at the video timestamps, it was only about a day total. But it sure felt like a lot longer. You know, while editing this, I'm actually not even sure I even mentioned why level 15 farming. Level 15 farming allows me to plant oak trees with these acorns I've gathered from woodcutting. And the trees are decent experience without having to run over to a farming patch every 30 to 40 minutes, so it's going to be a lot more efficient to just do in the background. Alrighty, it is time for the first tree. I think if I talk to these friends here... Can you sell me something? A plant pot. 40 coins? Yes, that sounds like a fair price. Alrighty, then I need to grab the gardening trowel that I bought earlier. I think I need a rake and this, as well as the watering can. So, all of the items, I'm not sure if I ever showed this, all of these items I was able to buy over in Hosidius. There is this farming shop, that's kind of where I bought all of these tools, so to speak. Those are most easily accessible. So, what I need to do now, I think, is I need to remove the weeds. Then use the plant pot on here in order to fill it up with dirt. Use one of the oak seeds on it, then use the watering can on it. And now it's going to be growing. And ta-da! The oak tree is about to grow. And from then on, every 3-ish hours I would check up on the trees and then plant new ones. And it just grew. Alrighty, check health on the oak tree. We're currently at level 15, almost 16 farming. This is 468 experience, that is, well, a bit over 1 level. Level 17 farming right now. Alright, I think it's time to speed up the farming stuff just a little. Oak 2, level 18 farming. Oak number 3 for level 20 farming. And this is oak number 4 for 21 farming. Oak 5. Probably. I kind of already lost count. 22 farming. This could be oak number 6. Wow, I didn't get a farming level. Oak 7 for 23 farming. Oak 8 for level 24 farming. I just realized that the one time I'm not around here to prune the tree, my oak has died. And then I ran out of oak tree seeds. I still needed at least level 27 farming in order to be able to start planting my apple trees, so I went back to planting more cabbages and also making more super compost. 25 farming. 26 farming. Alrighty, here we finally are. Once I have the spade and stuff. And we have reached 27 farming. I can now grow apple trees. Fruit trees in general take a lot longer to grow than regular trees, so I would in general only check on them once a day. But they were also worth a lot more farming experience. So I decided to unlock 2 fruit tree locations to use up the seeds. First, I went and took the charter ship I unlocked in Port Piscarius to Catherby, where I eventually planned on doing some fishing and cooking for more foresters' rations at some point. It is quite a long walk all the way across the beach, but without proper teleports or transportation quests unlocked, I didn't really have much of a better choice, I don't think. Well, except for Brimhaven. I also got there via a charter ship and unlocked a fruit tree patch that is just south of the docks, actually reasonably close. And from here, you know basically everything about my farming. I get seeds from woodcutting, grow them for farming experience to prepare for the herblore grind, so let's just move that all into the background and get back to the previous problem. Specifically, a problem I'm very ill-equipped to handle. Wait, hold up. Sorry. Editing Yagamoth here. One last farming related thing real quick, because it doesn't really fit in anywhere else. At some point during this time, I went to buy the Twitcher's gloves from the forestry shop for 5,000 anima bark and 500 willow logs. These supposedly allow me to increase my chance of getting a specific kind of bird's nest. So, of course, I chose the seed nest for a bit more farming experience in the long run. Although, I have to admit, it doesn't really feel like these gloves do anything, but oh well. Alright, back now to the Felling Axe Odyssey and smithing. While I was going back and forth between the various activities, I occasionally bought and sold the Rune Axe again, and that actually costs a lot of money as it turns out. And eventually I realized, wait, I have just about enough money to buy my Rune Axe back if I go and buy it right now, so I probably should go and do that and just get more money, because I needed 10 coins each time I crossed the Alcaret gates as well as the bronze bars. While they're not terribly expensive, they require a little bit more money, and in the end I will need to have the Rune Axe anyways, so back to woodcutting and fletching for a while. And also, I'm just going to keep the Rune Axe from here on out in my inventory. You know, I actually really like the RuneScape community. Although I have to admit I'm a little embarrassed, 40 minutes ago, Chartscape 3 said good luck with the chunk ride. And I'd like to say thank you, and I apologize that I didn't notice earlier. I was just playing Pokemon VGC on the side. Around this time I also bought a Chronicle, and briefly played with the idea of teleporting over to the Champions Guild after buying bronze bars, in order to then take the Waka Canoe back to Lumbridge, which would get me reasonably close to the anvil. It turned out to be more hassle than it was worth, mainly because the paddling animation was actually quite lengthy. Although I feel like it might have actually saved a little bit of time if I stuck to it. And also in the name of saving time, I decided to use up all of my bronze knives, over 6,000 of them, to free up one more inventory space. Specifically on long range attack on sand crabs. Long range because this would also give me defense experience, so I would get murdered less by the sand crabs. At least, that was the idea. That is all 6,500 bronze knives used up. We have reached 34 ranged, as well as 39 defense. If you notice that there's a lot of tiles unlocked here, then the reason for this is actually quite simple. I got quite sick during this time, and I decided to just AFK sand crabs on my phone while I couldn't really do a whole lot else. So as basically adept paid, because I didn't know which tiles I was walking on exactly, I decided to just unlock a bunch of tiles around here, because I was actually using the altar next to the sand crabs in order to activate the rapid healing prayer, because, well, that was easier than going back to buy more wines for healing. While using up the bronze knives, I had a lot of time to think, and one of the concepts I came up with is how I'm actually going to reach level 70 crafting later on. More on that later, but it will involve some mining, which meant I would like to have a pickaxe, and it just turns out that these sand crabs conveniently do drop iron pickaxes. So that's kind of what I went for, and I got it reasonably quickly. And because I was thinking of mining for crafting, that actually gave me another idea for smithing. No, I still did not want to cross over mining with smithing, because that just felt like too many steps removed, but there is, in fact, another smithing method that I had overlooked until now. Alrighty, here we are. Just need to get into Falador from here. Do I go directly to the mining guild? Actually, I can go through here. No, I cannot, because that is a level 60 requirement, so I have to go through the northeast entrance here. So this is going to be my goal to go to. Alright, so it would be the fastest route to unlock this through here. I was considering going above around, because this gets me closer to other places. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm going up and around this side instead. By the way, this is the shortest path plugin, which, when I started playing old school RuneScape, I knew nothing about navigation, and this thing was extremely helpful to let me know how I could get anywhere. While I was here in the Falador mines, I decided to get to level 20 mining for the crafting idea I had later. And I did so on these tin rocks right over here. At level 15 mining, I was considering going over to the iron rocks in order to speed up the mining a little bit, but I just realized that these king scorpions would be aggressive to me if the 10-minute aggression timer didn't already run out. So I decided to just stay at the tin rocks and get to level 20 mining there. It didn't take really much longer anyways. Alrighty, and a short while later, here we are, level 20 mining. And with that side objective achieved, it was time to enter the Motherlode mine. But instead of mining, I would train smithing in here. What I remembered was that when I did a bunch of Motherlode mine on my Iron Man to get full Prospector's outfit for the Falador diary, I was pleasantly surprised on how much smithing experience I was getting along the way, just repairing these unreliable water wheels. I think I gained like 3 smithing levels or so. And all I need for that is a hammer, which in a moment of unprecedented foresight I actually already brought with me. Good job, Past Yagamov. These water wheels are what make the water flow in this area, and their struts occasionally break down and need to be repaired with a hammer, which grants smithing experience equal to 1.5 times your current smithing level. So all I'm going to do is repair some struts, then hope worlds to find some more struts to repair, and repeat. And let me tell you, this was way faster than the bronze bars, like it's not even close. And I also decided to put a fun little green timer in the bottom left here, so you can get an idea on how long this actually took. While it was fast, it still took a while. 33 smithing. This is way faster than bronze bars. 34 smithing, level 35 smithing, 36 smithing, 37 smithing, level 38 smithing, 39 smithing. Interestingly, I have not hit the hop limit, which I don't know how high it is, but here we are, level 40 smithing after an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, there it is, it happened. I hit the hop limit. Alrighty. I actually have no idea how the hop limit works, so what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna try to log in again and stand around for a while, repair the struts that break in the same world over and over. And that's it. Alrighty. And there we are, level 41 smithing. I can make now a rune felling axe. I need an anvil to cut my rune axe, so there is an anvil in Lumbridge, but you can only smith bronze equipment on that thing. So the chance is really high that this is not going to work with the anvil in Lumbridge, so I will need to find another one. This is the anvil right here, the one I've smithed all my 6,500 bronze knife on. I doubt I can do this, but let's see. This cannot be undone. Does it actually work? Yes, convert it into the felling axe. Oh, nice. This actually works. This is now a two-handed axe. Excellent. Alrighty, so I didn't expect this to work. My alternative plan would be to somehow get a law rune, which there are these dark wizards here that have a 1 in 128 chance to drop a law rune, then use it to teleport to Varrock, and then walk over here to this anvil. But I don't have to worry about that now. I have my felling axe, and well, there's nothing stopping me from just straight up woodcutting. And thus ends the Rune Felling Axe Odyssey. This two-handed axe will roughly increase the woodcutting experience gained by 10% as long as I have forces rations. This is a major step towards the woodcutting cape requirement. And we're coming towards the end of this video. I am still learning on how to do proper storytelling, and I'm not sure this Odyssey came across properly, where I worked towards getting the felling axe handle, then got blindsided by the smithing requirement while also working towards the other goals in the background. Here's a quick stat overview. I got to level 40 attack to be able to equip a rune axe, which saves an inventory space, level 50 strength to make attack and defense growing a bit faster in the future, level 34 ranged from all the bronze knives, level 32 magic from the magic tutor runes I had collected, level 41 smithing to actually craft and create that rune felling axe, level 27 farming, which allows me now to plant apple trees, as well as level 37 fishing and cooking to create foresters rations. If you somehow made it this far into the video, I'd like to say that's kinda crazy. You know how long this stuff is? Either way, thank you. Thank you very much. If you could leave a comment for the video as well as a thumbs up as a sacrifice for the YouTube algorithm gods, I would greatly appreciate that. You can subscribe, but that's at your own risk, because there might also be some non-old school rune stuff in there. Your choice. Next time, we will tackle and achieve level 70 crafting, which should hopefully be a lot smoother than my Rune Felling Axe arc. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for listening and for lurking. I hope you enjoyed your stay, I hope you enjoyed being around, and well, hopefully until next time. Take care, and have a good night.